Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. This is Selva here.
Hello, hi. Yes, we were waiting for you. Just 1 second, I will.
Sure, sir.
Hi, Selva.
Hello.
Hi, Pankaj. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello,
So, Selva, are our participants ready to code in Polkadot?
So I've taught them all the steps for starting up the blockchain. So today we will be doing some amount of coding of adding.
So, will we be kind of building an app or something like that today?
Yeah. So we will be adding the existing palettes into the blockchain in order to customize that. And I will be explaining the code behind the palette so that they can start working with that.
My question is still, I mean, what does it take for them to build one, let's say, simple app in Polka?
Okay. So the thing is, they have to add a recipe, customize it, and I will give them the pointers to how to build their own recipes as well and add them.
Also asking is, Selva, in case you need one more session after this to do that part also. What do you?
Yeah, because the thing is, there are a lot of moving parts in terms of the Rust programming, which I can explain and build a custom palette and then add it to the blockchain and then work with that.
So let's do that now. Let's continue it on Monday also.
Sure. We can do that.
Monday or it can be tomorrow also. What is your comfort? Then we'll ask the participants also.
Yeah, sure. So you can take the poll from participants if they are okay.
I think tomorrow is better, being Saturday.
Yeah.
Instead of dragging it up to Monday, I think.
I have no issues. Issues.
Tomorrow is fine, right?
No
yeah. So we'll take a poll. Maybe. Yeah, Deepak, are you there on the call?
Yes, Deepak is here.
Yeah. So Deepak, midway during the class or at the end of the class or just after the class starts, when we have enough participants, let's take a poll. No, can we conduct a extra session tomorrow also, Saturday?
Okay. Yeah. So
now that we have.
Yeah. So Dhruv is here. He will be.
Sure.
He will be better capable to do that. So Dhruv, please.
Okay.
So we'll just take a poll in the chat box here itself.
Yeah. I mean, I think we'll go with a session tomorrow instead of dragging it up to Monday. Tomorrow should be better, I guess.
Yeah. Or if they want on Monday, I can conduct it on Sunday also. I have no problem.
I think Saturday is easy, best for everyone. Yeah.
All right. So I think we're ready to get started here.
Yeah. Maybe a minute or two probably, Dhruv, for more people to join in.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So I think as we did in the first workshop, we did take a small break there, right? So I think
Praveen is also here, I guess. Sorry, Dhruv. Yeah, sorry. Praveen, are you there?
Yep, I'm here, Pankaj.
Praveen, so I was just thinking, should we also have one more session tomorrow just to bring this to a logical conclusion?
Okay. I think make sense. If it is required, then yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Because I think it's still a little tight today. So they will still do the coding and all that today, but I think it can continue tomorrow with a good app development. But Selva, tomorrow's agenda should be just app development, no theory. Hands-on, which people can do along with you during the session. Can we have that as the agenda for tomorrow's session? Selva?
Sorry, I was on mute. Sorry.
Yeah. So, I'm saying tomorrow's session should be zero theory, only hands-on application development, which participants can do along with you.
Yes, we can do that. Only they must have their dev environment set up so that I can guide them through.
So you can give that setup as a sub assignment if they already know the steps, if you have already shown them.
Or if you want to.
Yeah, so let's do that. And if people have any queries or questions, they can probably ask that in the first 5-10 minutes. How much time does it take for the setup?
About half an hour to 40 minutes.
Okay. So shall we start tomorrow at 5:30?
Yeah, we can do that.
Let's start at 5:30 tomorrow and end it by 8.
Yeah, 5:30 or maybe even 5 o'clock also fine.
Yeah, I think 5:30 should be good. 5:30 to 8. people can also use that time for asking questions, setup and all that, and then
Sure,
you can start this thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I can even do it in this session also. We can have an overlap of these two sessions wherein they can see the palette integration as well as
You start today anyways. Start today for sure.
If they are having
Start
any
today for
issues
sure.
with
I'm
their
just
setup, I can actually help them through screen share.
yes, please do that. I mean, whatever we can cover today is best. I'm just saying tomorrow's session is like the extra buffer session.
Definitely,
so
definitely.
that if something is not
definitely will need
completed,
that.
plus for another practice, and if things are completed today, you can take another application tomorrow. So it's like a giving more confidence.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Over to you, Dhruv.
Yes, okay, so we're good to start, yes. Okay, so hello everyone, welcome to this week's third workshop by IBC Media and Polkadot. Now, if you missed the first and the second one, you can check it out on YouTube later, which we highly recommend. As we have just mentioned here, the workshop moving forward is going to go more hands-on and more practical. So I recommend we all do how Selva is explaining us to, set up the environments and everything that is required to get the hands-on experience. So also these workshops, they do come with a great participation incentive. So today we'll be discussing hands-on development using Polkadot Substrate on Rust as we did before. Now this is again, it's in-depth and hands-on. It's going to get more hands-on as we move forward with the workshop, and we get a peek inside how the Web3 ecosystem and blockchain systems are built. We have Mr. Pankaj with us here today, who's the founder of Idea Labs, and the expert himself, which is Mr. Selvaraju, who took us through the entire journey of Web3 space. Now, he's given us so much insight on the decentralized world and, of course, Polkadot and Substrate, etc. So, as you know, Polkadot is our headline sponsor, and we are hosting IBC Hack. Now, we have lined up 4 hackathons leading up to the main conference in January. It's a great platform for you guys to apply what you have learned in these workshops. We are going more hands-on, as you know. So more hands-on experience means you are ready to take part in activities which require you to build the projects itself. So now let me talk about one very important tool which is required and very essential for the hackathon, which is Discord. Now we have gone through this before, and we have Deepak with us here today, who will again brief us on a very a quick way on how we can set up Discord and the optimum way to use Discord. Now, over to you, Deepak.
Hi, Dhruv. Am I audible?
Hi. Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, so very good evening to everyone. My name is Deepak. Welcome to the third session of the workshop series on Rust, led by our expert, Mr. Selvaraju. If you have been following the earlier workshops, then you would already know by now how important Discord is for this hackathon competition. But in case you have missed it, no worries. I'll quickly go through a short introduction on Discord in the next few minutes. To start with, Discord is an incredible platform. To be honest, it differs from other social media platforms in terms of the activities that may be carried out on it. I'll just share my screen. Okay. Just a minute. Is my screen visible, bro?
Yes, your screen is visible. We can see the Discord website.
Okay, great. So, yeah, so why I would say Discord is more important than other platforms is because we can chat, we can do voice calls, we can host events such as AMAs and other discussions. And in other words, Discord provides communication than any other social media site, and that makes it a perfect place for hackathon participants. And that's exactly why joining IBC Media Discord becomes extremely important. If you are wondering why it's so important, then the simple answer to that is because of the technical help. Since hackathons are challenging, and especially IBC Media's hackathons that you have taken part in is going to be a lot is quite huge, and similarly it's challenging as well, and it is highly technical in nature, which means that you will require a lot of help and Discord comes into the picture because it is going to provide you with the resources where you can help yourself. So to make sure that you get the support from Hackathon mentors and IBC team, I would suggest that everybody just join the Discord, our Discord server by clicking on the link that is being shared in the chat box by Dhruv, and then you would be able uh, to uh, to start off in a much better way than you may be currently as far as getting help is concerned. So I'll just give a quick glimpse of how to use it, how to create an account on it. I am just extremely sorry. I'm just try to multiple things around the screen, so it becomes a little, yeah. Right. So it's simple. You just Google the Discord channel. You can Google it. You can check out on your phone. It's a very simple tool which is free. You can download it on your desktop, or you can just go on the website and join using the server. I'll explain you in a very quick way how to do that. So right now I'm on the Discord site. Now, if you have an account, then do it. If you don't, then you start by open Discord in your browser. You click over here, and it will take you to the sign up page. Now I have already signed up, and this is a new account which I have created just to give a display of how the screen will look like after you register. Registration is very simple, just like any other platform out there. Yeah, it'll take just a few minutes, and you will be in. So if you can see here on the left side, there is an option called add a server. So like in Twitter, you add a follower. In Facebook, you add a friend. Similarly, on Discord, you add a server. So our server is the Discord server. Discord IBC server is basically, the link is available in the chat. It's also on all our social media platforms, so you can find it from there. Right now, I'll just take the link from our chat, and I'll show you how you can join it directly. So I'll click on this plus sign to add the server, and then I'll click have an invite already. Yes, I do have an invite. So I'll click on join a server, and invite link box is here. I'll paste it, and then I'll click join server. So as you can see, I have a pop-up window over here. It is important for you to be able to access all the channels and categories that we have in our Discord server. And for that, it is important that you verify yourself. Now, this verification is important because there are a lot of bots on Discord. So once you verify yourself, by that we ensure that you're not a bot. So I'll just click over here and then go to the verify section. Now, as you can see on the left, I'll show you the difference, what happens once you verify. So if you can see on the left, you are not able to check a lot of things over here. You only have the verification section start here. A bunch of things are not here. So that is because you are pending the approval, you are pending the verification section. So once you click on it and you verify yourself, you will be able to see all the sections over here. So this is called a category. These are the channels in those categories. So why it is important to come on Discord, I'll repeat it, because all the tracks that you are participating in, you will find their mentors. For example, if you are participating in the Polkadot track, this is where you will find the mentors. So like we have Bruno, we have Jeff. So if you have any problem with the track, you go to this channel called Polkadot Hack Impulse Discussion. You come over here, you type a message. For example, I want help with Substrate. And what you can do is you can put in the message, and somebody on the other end, be it from the Discord IBC team or the Polkadot mentors, they will be readily available to help you. You can also choose to tag us. You can tag IBC Media. You can tag the mentors. For example, if I want to tag Bruno, I'll just put @Bruno, and I'll post the question over here, like a chat box, like a WhatsApp chat. It's so simple. Similarly, for other tracks like Chingari, Tokenomics, and multiple IBC tracks, all the resources, all the technical help you can get just by going to those particular channels and asking for help. That's it. You don't need to struggle any place else. You don't even need to Google. You can just come on the Discord server and join it and start seeking help. For example, I'll give you an example. One person yesterday, who wanted some help with the sessions that has been happening. He put a question here in general chat asking how he can get recordings for these session, which is the session that is being conducted by Mr. Silvaraj. So, and just as he put this question, and we sent him the link. So this is a very small example. Similarly, if you're struggling with your hackathon track, you can just raise the question in the particular track category, and we'll help you out instantly. If my screen has been visible, Dhruv, then I think I'm pretty much done with the presentation. And I would request everyone once again to please come on Discord and start using it to your own benefit. It is extremely crucial to seek help, because if you wherever you are stuck, sometimes we may be afraid to ask for help, but in this case you should definitely not be afraid and come out and start working and make this hackathon journey best for yourself. And we are definitely there 24/7 to help you. Thanks, Dhruv. I think you can carry on from here.
All right, thank you so much, Deepak. It's a nice and detailed explanation as always. Thank you so much. So now that you all are aware of the whereabouts of Discord, how to operate it, the links are in the chat box. All the relevant links for the IBC hack, for the Discord, and for our social channels, everything is in the chat box. Make sure you check it out. Now, without any further ado, let's begin with today's workshop. We'll hand it to Selva here. Hello, Selva.
Hi. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So first thing first, yesterday we saw some of the setup and the dev environment setup. So if any one of you is having any issue with the dev environment, so please come up with your problems. We can sort that out and we can go further. Also, as you saw that in the last session, we did compile and it got compiled completely, but it took more than an hour. That is a typical scenario. If you want to do this in a faster manner, you could actually, sign up for any of the cloud platforms, take a sufficiently powerful virtual machine, and then you can do it over there. However, it is going to cost you money. So if you want to do it on your local machine, so please be ready to spend some time when the cargo build is happening for the entire substrate framework. Okay, so be prepared for that. Now, in the last session, at the end of the session, the substrate, framework that we downloaded got actually, compiled fully, and now I can actually demonstrate that to you. But before I get into that, there are some nitty-gritty details for the front-end application as well, which I would like to show you there. So once you're through with that, you will be in a very good position to actually start playing around with the substrates on, default blockchain that actually is generated through the substrate framework. That's one thing. So first off, let me know if any one of you is having issue with the dev environment setup. Please feel free to do so. Anyone? Because you see, the whole point is that one of the important things, unless you have your dev environment setup and you have everything ready, you will not be in a position to do that parallelly with me. See, one of the important things, there is not a classroom environment, it's an online environment. So therefore, I'm assuming that everybody has the dev environment set up and you are actually doing things parallelly with me. Because unless you burn your fingers working with this framework, you will not have the confidence to build, applications on your own. So that is the most important thing that I want to convey here. So it's important that if you have any issues with the setup of the development environment, please do let me know right away. Anyone having issues with the development environment setup? So please do let me know.
Yes, guys, please feel free to drop the questions in the chat box, or you can directly message Selva on the Zoom chat, or you can message IBC Media, which is me. Do not hesitate to ask questions here.
Please, this is very important because whatever we are going to do now requires that you have the dev environment set up, because simply watching the steps is not enough. You have to do that parallelly in order to be able to gain the confidence, to work with this framework. And I'm also assuming that last time I gave you a couple of, YouTube channel for Rust programming, which you could actually go through. So I'm assuming that you have gone through those, so that it makes you comfortable in order to do everything within the Substrate framework using the Rust programming language. So please let me know if you are having any issues with your development environment setup. I showed you the entire development environment setup right from scratch with a fresh virtual machine, so that you can see everything that's going on. What are the nuances involved in that? Okay, so it's very important that you have it. You have that entire development environment set up the right way, so that you don't face any issues later on. So anyone having issues with the development environment setup, please let me know. We already have 70 plus members, and I see no one seems to be responding. Oh, by the way, hi Praveen, good evening.
Hey, good evening, Selvaraj. How are you? So guys, I think what Selvaraj is saying, that it is very important for you to understand if you have tried things at home, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, unmute yourself, and request for the microphone access, and please make this session interactive. Then only you will be able to get the maximum out of it. I understand that this is a little complicated, but then that's why we are arranging this session. So please unmute yourself, ask questions. Please make the session more interactive, and take the maximum out of it, please. So Selva, so what is the plan for today? I mean, I was listening to the conversation between you and Pankaj.
Yeah. So today I will show them how to include palettes into the runtime. Explain the palette, so a simple palette, and as an assignment, I will give them to build a blockchain with additional palette. Okay, all the documentation available on the Substrate website itself. They can follow along with that. And then once they are confident enough, and the next session, I will have a custom palette development wherein you can actually customize the blockchain.
Fantastic. So why don't we get started then?
Sure. Okay, so right. So last time we actually let me just share my screen. So I hope you're all able to see my screen.
Yes, we can see the screen.
Yeah. So let's go to the Substrate website. Okay. Right. So first off, let me ask one simple question. How many of you are using Ubuntu or any other virtual machine, or no? So which flavor of Linux are you using? Okay, so there's no response. Okay. So as you can see, I'm using, okay, finally this one. Okay, Ubuntu, AKV. Okay. Thanks a lot, AKV, for your response. Anybody else? So if the majority is using Ubuntu, then I can go ahead with the Ubuntu installation instructions for the front end as well. Then I can show you how the front end actually works. And we will actually run the blockchain and then see how this whole thing actually is working. Okay, I see only one response there. Okay, so we saw this developer section. And in here you have you can, if you don't want to install anything, you can always use the playground. It will set up a cloud sandbox, but again, remember, you have to be very patient. It takes quite some time for the the virtual machine to set up and then running. And one more limitation is that when you're using the cloud sandbox in the playground, you can either use the node playground or you can use the front-end playground. You cannot do both these together. Okay, so maybe you can use two different machines and do that. So that should work just fine. So this is something that you have to keep in mind. Okay, so we go to so we did this build a local node environment. Okay, on your local node in your development environment. Again, remember what is a local node. Okay, so if you look at the node, basically node is nothing but simply a server which is maintaining a copy of the entire blockchain ledger. That's it. Okay, so we know that a blockchain is a distributed ledger. So essentially what is happening, the entire blockchain data is being synced across multiple servers which are participating in your blockchain. Okay, right? So now, so we are using a local node, which would mean that it is running on our local machine, and so it's a single node blockchain basically, right? That is not for production environment, but it is for testing. If you want to go a step further, you can always go through this setting up of two node networks using predefined accounts. Okay, so this would be your assignment. So please go through this one. Okay, that is setting up of a two node network. Again, remember when you're building this whole substrate, framework, it will take some time. So you could spin up two virtual machines and then use it. Or again, you can always create one single VPC, and within that, in a cloud environment, a single VPC, and you can have, two different instances spun up, and then you can do it over there as well. Okay, so that will show you how you can make multiple nodes to participate in a network, thereby actually practically using the peer-to-peer communication protocol for the gossip protocols that are being implemented, right? So today we are going to work with palettes. This gives you an idea how you can actually customize your runtime to add additional functionality. Okay, and I will explain the whole concept of the palette and what code goes in there, how you can write your own palette, and all those things. So we will be using a simple palette, and for your assignment, you will have to use a palette for working with smart contracts. Okay, and if you're having any issues, you can always reach out to me over Discord. Okay, and we can help you out with that. So once you know how to work with these palettes, you will be in a good position to write your own palette, add it to the runtime to customize the functionality of the blockchain that you're trying to develop using this substrate framework. Okay, right. So for you, the assignment would be to simulate a two node network. You see why this is important, because when you want to set up a multi-node blockchain network, okay, you have to ensure that only trusted entities participate in your blockchain. And basically, the steps are exactly the same as local node. However, some extra configuration you have to do so that the multiple nodes that you want to bring into your, into your blockchain network, okay, they should trust each other by way of exchanging of the keys, right? So that is what you really learn in this part of the tutorial. Okay? Right? That is. So today we will be looking at a predefined palette which we can add in the runtime, and we will actually look into the palette code as well. Okay, so that gives you an idea how the palettes are written, which allows you to get an insight into how you could actually customize the blockchain for your own specific needs. Okay, right. And in fact, the truth is that once you are able to do that, okay, you can store native values in a smart contract. You can actually build your own ERC20 tokens. Okay, all those things are available to you. But then again, when you go to the smart contract, Polkadot brings a separate domain specific language called the Ink language, which is again a Rust DSL, which allows you to write smart contracts. So you'll not be using Solidity, but instead you will be using the Ink DSL for that purpose. Okay. Very easy to learn. If you already know, Solidity, it's very easy to follow along. It's just that additional annotations have to be added, so which enable the link DSL to be activated and used in your code. Okay. Right. Okay. So let me just show you here. So one important thing. Okay. So if you see, let me just show you here. I just open up a terminal. Okay. Okay. So I have one is the front end template and one is the node template. Okay. And what I did is I actually copied the entire node template into another folder called custom blockchain, wherein we will do all the addition of the palette and then use it from our front end. But remember, this front end template is actually a React application. Okay. Don't worry about the UI stuff and all. Okay. It's a very simple React application which you could actually use. And if you are a front-end developer, you can definitely go into the code and see how the events are tracked or events are listened to and all those things. Okay? It's not very difficult at all. Okay. So Substrate node template is the one which is actually having the node template to actually run your blockchain. So there is a basic blockchain that is developed using the Substrate framework. Okay, so we just go into that. Okay, and we have seen all this code and all. Okay, so let me just do a basic walkthrough. So I have installed Visual Studio Code. So I'll just open this up in Visual Studio Code. Okay, and then okay. So as you see here, we have the runtime there. Okay, there are a lot of runtimes available already built into the framework. Okay. And if you go over the SRC. So if you see cargo.toml here, this is the toml file. This is like your package JSON file, like what you do with the front end. So this is where all the dependencies are listed. So you can see the dependencies there. Okay, so this is the dependencies section in there, which is used to configure all the dependencies that you are actually going to use from the framework. Okay, there are some local dependencies, there are some build dependencies, and then features is what you want to use out of the dependencies. So features are like think of it like this. Okay, a dependency has a lot of functionality. Okay, So these functionalities are actually features. So out of these dependencies, which particular feature you want, that's what, or which functionality you want, that's what it is. So like say for instance, palette or STD, palette balances, palette grandpa. So I want the palette grandpa. Out of that, I want the STD feature. Okay. So this is what features is all about. Okay. Right. Now, if you want to know more about this, okay, there is a separate web, web page dedicated to the cargo itself. Okay. So you can actually see cargo so this is your crates.io, which is the Rust package registry. This is your, think of it like this, like your npm registry, from where all the dependencies are downloaded and they are added into your code. Okay. And there is a complete cargo documentation also available. So there is this cargo book. And the Rust line, and this is where you can refer to all the cargo references, cargo commands, the references, the guide tells you how you can use cargo to develop packages and so on and so forth. Okay. And again, remember to set up your first crate. What this crate is? Crate is nothing but basically a library. That's all, nothing beyond that. Okay. Don't worry about the terminology here. Okay. Right. Okay. So if I go to the palette, okay, and want cargo formal, so within the palette, so this is the package name. What is the version? Okay. Description. What are the authors, homepage edition, and so on. So package metadata docs. Okay, which is the target? What are the dependencies? So this is how you basically list out your dependencies. Okay. So package, you name the package, which version, what are the default features. So if you want to use default features, so it falls in here, and then see the scale info, frame benchmarking, frame support, frame system, and so on and so forth. There are these development dependencies which you use during the development. Okay, this is just like your dev dependencies in your package system. And then the features, which features you want out of the various packages that you have actually, or dependencies that you have actually used. Okay. Right. Anytime you have any question, please do ask your questions in the chat box. Okay. And there is a palette. So if you go to the Libaris, so this is your palette folder. Okay. I'll explain these also later. Let's close the Rust analyzer for now. Okay. And we will see how we can add the palette. So for now, everything is fine. It has been compiled, and I will now show you how to go ahead with the execution of the running of this node to see the blockchain itself. But to get an insight into how the blockchain is actually working, you also need the front end template. So let me just show you that. So this is your front end. Okay. And you can see there is this package JSON. So what is it using? You can see Substrate UI, and Polkadot JS. Okay. And you can see the dependencies, your Polkadot API, extension tab, peering, network type, and so on and so forth. It is using React and React DOM. It's also using for the CSS, it is using the semantic UI CSS framework. Okay? Data dependencies and so on and so forth. You also have the yarn RC YAML file which takes care of the yarn dependencies. Okay, so it's actually using the yarn as the package manager. So if you go to the yarn log first, it show you all the different versions of each and every dependency that has been installed. Okay, right. Now, in order to be able to run this, you have to make use of React, and that in turn uses Node.js. Okay. Now remember, you could do something like, so let me just open up another one now. Now this is pretty important because if you're doing node-based development, okay, on Ubuntu, there are certain nitty-gritty details that you have to keep in mind. So if I check with the node version, node-v, I get 16.7. Okay. So let me go to the node site, nodejs.org, 16.17. You see, what I'm doing is generally, whenever you're doing development, instead of using current, using the LTS version is always a better choice. The reason being, it is actually a mature product, whereas in the case of the current version, there may be some bugs. Okay, so therefore, it whereas the LTS version is always very well tested. It's always better to use this. Okay. Now, since I'm on Linux, so I can just go to the 16.17.0 LTS and I can do the installation. However, one caveat, okay? If you do sudo apt install, okay, don't do this. Okay, very important. Don't do this. The reason being, if you did that, okay, there's something many of you might not be aware of. It will install Node.js, but the Node.js version will be something like 6 or 7 or maybe 6 or 8 or something like that. That is something that we do not want. Okay, we want the latest version of it. So what you need to do is, if you want to, and then so you want to install that. Okay, generally, what we do is we can always go to the downloads. Okay, and you can take the LTS version and install that. Okay, you can also get it via the package manager. Okay, and here you can look for, so you don't see Ubuntu because that's derived out of of the Debian. So Debian Ubuntu based Linux distribution. This is where we do it. So we have Node.js binary distributions from node source. Okay, go to this, and these are the distributions available. So if I go to the Debian Ubuntu distribution, okay, I will come down in here. So these are all the Ubuntu distributions supported, and now here it says, so node version 18.x, 16.x, but I want 16.x LTS. So I'll go for this. Okay, and then what you do is you use this command curl to download the LTS version setup. Okay, and pass it on to the bash, and then finally you do a sudo apt get install. Okay, this will install Node.js. Okay, that is 16.x LTS version. Okay, so let me just copy it and put it in chat. Now this is very important because this is where things go wrong actually with Node.js in particular. Okay, I had a lot of experience of things going wrong with Node.js in particular on Ubuntu. Okay? So do not do sudo apt install node.js directly. Okay, don't do that. You did that. If you do that, then in that case again you'll end up removing the node.js older version and then putting up a newer version on top of it. Now, many times there's a node version manager also that is recommended, but I do not do that. The reason being, there is a node version manager which allows you to manage multiple versions within your environment. So you can have multiple versions of node installed and you can select one of them as default. The problem with that NVM package is that it is actually not an official package from anybody, any organization. It's really a one-person effort. Okay, and so generally it's not a good practice to trust such packages. Okay, so if it is coming from the node's official source, then in that case it's fine. Otherwise, don't do that. Okay, and it's a no as far as production environment setup is concerned. Okay, right. So anyway, so any questions here so far, please? Any questions, please? Just feel free to ask questions. And even if you want to use on Linux-based RPM distributions like the one on Fedora, CentOS, or Red Hat, okay, so you should use this. This is actually a much better option available. Okay, and always. Okay, any questions here, please? Okay. So when you go to the building a local, so once this is we have already built this yesterday itself. Okay, it's already built. So now what I can do is I can run my blockchain. Okay, so just copy this and the this content template. Go to the node. Okay, and I issue that command. So when you build this, let me just show you here. So I have separate node template. Okay. When you build it, it creates a target folder. Inside that you have the release. Okay. Inside the release, you have this. Okay. This is where all the built things go. Okay. So if you see my command in here, so there's go to the build, is, and then the node template. So target is and then build. These are all the dependencies, examples, and here is the node template executable. Okay, so let's run. So the release node template. So it's basically what is the file that is getting executed? It is this file. Okay. Template. Okay. So now let's go ahead. Keeping my fingers crossed. And -dev means in the dev mode, development mode. Okay. Now remember, this is going to start our blockchain, our own blockchain. Okay. So substrate node, the architecture, virtual machine is yes, Linux distribution. Okay, highest known block is 0. So it is now preparing. So prepared blocks are proposing at 1 and 6 milliseconds and so on. It is proposing and you will see a little later. See, it has finalized hash 0, finalized hash 1. Okay, finalized hash 0 means this is the genesis block. And what this does is that it generates blocks approximately every 6 seconds or so. Okay, 6 seconds or so. Right. So our blockchain is up and running. It's generating blocks. Okay. See there? And these are all the block hashes. Will keep running. Now, sometimes, suppose for instance, if you happen to just press Control C and it will stop, your node will stop generating the blocks and the blockchain will terminate. In case if you want to remove the previous data, so if I start again, okay. So last block was proposing at 11. Again, it starts from the top. You can always remove all the data that was already there. Okay, if you want to do so, let me just show you what you need to do. So you can purge the existing data using this. Okay, so target release node template, purge the chain, base path is temp Alice, okay, and then chain is local. So if I copy this and come back up here, in order to purge whatever is the existing data, that says, are you sure you want to do that? So I'll say yes. Now, low open file descriptor configured for the process, current value 4090, recommended value 10,000. So you see what happens. So it says it does not exist. Okay. So it's not there, right? So essentially, it requires a minimum of 10,000 blocks, okay, before it actually purges the thing. Okay, right. That's what the meaning is. Okay, so let's run our blockchain. Dev one. Okay, let us start. So now what I need to do is I'll go to the front end. Okay, so there's a front end template, and I'll just say yarn start. Let us start the development server. Okay, you see there, the substrate node. Okay, it is communicating with the substrate node through the WebSocket. Okay, there is a version, metadata. See the current block is 10 and final block is 8. And Alice is the user there. We have others also, Alice, Tash, Bob, Tash, Sally, Dave, and so on and so forth. Okay, and you can see Alice, Bob, Charlie, they all have, these are the balances associated with them. Okay. Okay. So I can also do a transfer, okay, from one account to another account. So let me just show you right away from here. So what it is doing is it's basically communicating with the with our running blockchain, okay, and then it is doing the transfer. Okay? So let's say I want to transfer this Alice and to which account. So let's say I want to transfer it to Bob. Just copy this. I'll put the Bob's address in there and the amount. So let's say I add a million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, right now in the events section or the panel, there's nothing in there, so I'll just submit this. So it is in block. Okay, it is success. Now you can see here, okay, the balances have changed, and we can see. So transfer, so transaction payment. Okay, transaction fee has been paid. The balance transfer, the balance withdraw, and then finally exchange is success. Now, this is the finalized block hash. So you can actually look into this is the block into which the transaction was added. I'll just copy this for my output in there, and I can actually check for this block. There, this is the block. So it was added in the block at proposal 25. Okay, right? This is the block into which the transaction was added. Right. Now, go back up here. Okay. And if you want to know the metadata of the of your blockchain, so if you click on this, it will give you a huge JSON blob which contains the complete metadata. Okay, for the entire chain. Okay, right. Also, see the palette interactive. So you can actually select the palette that you want, and you can interact with that. So if you see the palettes that have been added, balances, grandpa, pseudo, system, template, module, and timestamp. These are the palettes. Okay. So if you see, let me show you where the palettes are. Okay. So if I go in here, okay, for the node. Or balances, grandpa, pseudo. Okay. So these are all the palettes which have been added. And you can actually talk to these palettes. Okay. These are all the, and here are the palettes. The palettes. What are the palettes that are being used? And if you want to add new palettes, you do it here. So in the SRC, if I go to the lib these are all. Okay. There's a code for all the palettes that are being used. Okay. And this is our node configuration. Right? Okay. So you can actually interact with these individual palettes through the UI. Let's say I want the balances. Okay. The balances, you have post, transfer, set balance, transfer, likewise. Okay. So from the source to the destination and give it a value. So say for instance, I want to set the balance. Okay. Or let's say I want to transfer destination again. So let's say I want to transfer it to, let's say, Charlie, because there's a zero balance in there. So let's copy this. Okay. The value. And you can either do a signed transaction or a pseudo transaction. If I do a signed transaction, transaction status is ready. Okay. Okay. and now it is in the block. So you can see system exchange transaction fee was paid, balance was transferred. Okay, so balance is endowed, then the balance transfer takes place, transaction fee is paid, and then finally, so these are all the events that are happening. Okay. You can also do a query palette factor, so you can select the palette, say for instance balances, and in the following you can say balances into the account. Okay. And let's say then query 3000. Let's say log is calculation. And you can also do an RPC. Okay. So and get the change. Okay. Get the block and and if I submit it, current block header, parent hash is this. So you can actually look into the blocks as well. Okay. And also use a constant which allows you to basically set some values. That's it. Balances and you can read. So through the extensive, you can select the palette you want to interact with. Sudo. This is the administrator palette. Okay. And we can set a key. And let's say we set a key for key. And we do a sudo. Current transaction status is ready, and then it will become in block. It takes about anywhere between 0 and 6 seconds. Okay. And here. Right. Okay. Any questions here so far, please? So now you can see that we have our blockchain running. Okay. It is running and it is generating the block. And we are able to communicate with that and then add transactions into it. Okay. Through the UI. Okay. Any questions, please? Any questions, please?
Looks like there's no questions.
Right. Okay. So we continue then. So you can actually modify the runtime. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the blockchain. The moment I stop it, see what happens. I come back up in the UI, it automatically says error connecting substrate. So the socket connection is lost. This is expected, right? Obviously, the blockchain is no longer running. Right. So now what we will do is, I'll just put both the windows. Okay. And what is custom blockchain? Then, so Praveen, maybe we can take a 5-minute break and conduct the poll. before I get into the next topic?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So while we take that break, guys, I will ask you guys to please put your preferences in the comment box. As if for those of you who have joined late, in the beginning of the call, we had discussed we will be having a follow-up session where we will be having a more hands-on approach for whatever we have learned in the past workshops. So your preference between Saturday and Monday will be highly appreciated in the chat box. Make sure you do that.
So people are yet to put up their preferences.
So when I say preferences, I basically mean the next workshop will be conducted in the next uh, few days. So we have options where we have Saturday and Monday. So yes, okay. So we are getting responses. Thank you, Vijay. Right, I will appreciate a response from all the participants. Let's make this a workshop a little more interactive and okay. It looks like Saturday is the more preferred day, which is tomorrow. Okay, sure. We have more private messages for Saturday too. Okay, a quick question. Salva, what will be the preferred time for you, Mr. Salva? I mean, if we will be scheduling the call.
So I think as Pankaj mentioned, I think we can go with 5:30 tomorrow.
5:30. All right. So remember, guys,
Okay?
make sure note this down. Tomorrow, Saturday, which is your choice, and which is tomorrow. Uh, we are going with the timing for 5:30. So make sure you put this in your calendar.
Okay, so just give me 2-3 minutes. I'll be back.
Sure.
Okay, so let us start.
Yes, Alva, we can. I think we can go ahead.
Let me share my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So first things first, why we are discussing the palette addition into the runtime? That's because there is functionality that is given to you out of the box. So first you should be able to add those palettes and customize your runtime. And then finally, we will see in the next session how we can write our own custom code as well. Okay, which will all be in Rust, obviously. Okay, so we will see that in the next session. So today we will see how we can customize our runtime to add additional palettes. Okay, so we are going to refer to the substrate documentation, how we can add palettes to the runtime. Okay, we already have our substrate node template up and running. Okay, so we're going to use a palette called the Nix palette. It's a very simple palette. The reason we have picked this up is because it's actually easy to understand. Okay, so it allows you to provide nicknames. Okay, and you can see the source code in here. Let me show you the source code. Okay, right. Okay, so it has got, so when you use palette, okay, first off is that you have to have this line. Okay, for every palette it is required. So basically you are saying that the configuration attribute, the feature std, you are not adding it, and you are saying no std, which means that when you are adding it into the wasm file, the std should not be used. For others, std can be used. Okay? And then you use the frame support traits. This is absolutely important because you're going to use the traits which are already predefined. Okay. And and we are also using the palette star, which means that you are importing the palette crate and we are importing the runtime crate. Okay. And SPSTD. So you will see SP and SP. SP is for the substrate primitives, which are used in the native part of the code, and SP is for the ones which are used for the substrate WASM. Okay, so how you define a palette is by defining a public module called palette. Okay, and then you use the annotation frame support palette so that this part of the code is actually treated as a palette. Instead of this, okay, you have to use the frame support and frame system palette prelude. Okay, that is absolutely important. And then you add a trait, configuration trait. This you have to do almost for every palette. Okay, and then in here in this trait you define the event, the currency trait, that is the currency that you are going to use. Okay, the reservation fee. Okay, unbalanced flash funds. Okay, origin. So source origin ensures that the transaction is always fine. Okay, what is the minimum length and the maximum length of the name? And now name set, name 4. So this is again an event type enumeration. So these are the events. Name set, name is forced, name is changed, name is cleared, and name is killed. And for the errors, too short a name, or too long a name, or there is unnamed. Okay, so these are 3 types of errors that you can actually propagate. And the lookup table for the name. So you have a storage map to store those names, right? And you have these functions. So basically set name, you in the set name, you take the origin. Origin is the account which actually, initiated the transaction. Okay, and what is the name that you want to set? So name is actually a vector of bytes, which is a string essentially. Okay, as I mentioned in Rust, strings are treated very differently from a sequence of characters. Okay, it's actually really a vector of bytes, and every method returns a dispatch result, which allows the UI to respond to the event that was generated when something happened. And then basically what we are doing is you ensure a deposit event, okay, and then you deposit the amount, reservation fee, and then you reserve the deposit amount, and then you execute the deposit event, right? And then finally to insert the name. Likewise. So you can look into this code. Okay, this source code is available for you to utilize. Let me go back up here. Okay. Right. So first thing first, we have already done the Rust and Rust toolchain. We have the local blockchain also already built. Now we have to add the palette dependency. Okay. So where do you add these dependencies? You add it in the cargo.toml file. Raise the font size a bit so that it's easy to read. Okay. So the palettes to be imported as dependencies for the runtime, including the location and the version of the palettes import. This is what so the file contains these important pieces of information. One is which palette is to be imported, what are the runtime dependencies for the runtime, what is the location of the palette, okay, and which version of the palette to be installed, and which features in each palette that should be enabled when compiling the native Rust binary. Okay, so by enabling the standard feature set from each palette, you can compile runtime to include functions, types, primitives, okay, so which are not actually available in the WebAssembly. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is open the runtime cargo.toml configuration file, and then locate the dependencies section and copy an existing palette dependency and replace the palette name with the palette mix. Okay, so we copy this code, we come to our custom blockchain, open up the code, okay. This is nothing but basically the complete copy, okay, complete copy of the blockchain, which I also compiled. Took me about an hour. Okay. Now once we add the palette again, we have to do the recompile. So So what we do, we go to the runtime and cargo terminal. Okay, this is where we need to go. Okay, so go to the runtime and cargo terminal. You see the dependency section in here. Okay, this is where we add the palette mix. Okay, right. So let's add that. So we'll just add it at the end. Okay. As you can see here, palette mix is added. The version is 4.0.0 dev. Default feature is false, and this is our Git repo and Git branch. Right? Okay. So now the dependency is added. Now, after adding the dependencies, okay, so it will import the palette mix and create the dependencies. Okay. Now, in the palette mix, so now almost every palette you have to do the same thing. So you have to provide the version, okay, which version you want, what is the default behavior, including palette features, repository location, which is the git attribute that's given, and the branch that is used to retrieve the crate. Okay, so these details should be the same for every palette in any given version of the node template. Okay, now add the palette mix / std features in the list of features. Now you can see in the list of features, let's go here and we will add the palette mix. I'll just copy this line, come down to the features. This is the feature. Okay, let's see here in the std part, go all the way down and we add this. Okay, palette mix std. This is for the native binary generation. Okay, remember that. So once this section is added, so this section will specify the default feature set to compile for this particular runtime is the std feature set. Okay. Now you can actually use additional configurations if you want to do so. So there is this build process link available. You can refer to this. Okay. Now, if you forget to update the feature section, okay, you might see cannot find function likewise. So these sort of errors will come up. Now to check that the new dependency is resolved correctly, you can do cargo check -p node template then runtime. So I'll just copy this command. I need to first save this. I'll save this. Come to the custom blockchain. So cargo check -p node template runtime. It's updating that. So it takes about a couple of minutes. Okay. Okay. So while this is going on, now remember, as I mentioned in here, so of course, I'll just explain this so that That's the source code, and you can also check with the config. Take it directly to the config. Okay. So every palette needs to have a config block, which is basically a trait. Okay. Again, remember, what is a trait? Trait is nothing but common functionality across different modules or types, as you might say so. Okay. Now, I actually showed you last time the concept of trait with a simple example in the Rust programming book. Okay. So you are trying to build. So you can think of, even though it is not 100% true, but think of traits as similar to, not exactly same, but similar to interfaces. Okay. In Java or C# or whatever language that you're actually comfortable with. Okay. So essentially, you are defining certain types within this trait. You may also define functions within the trait, and they need to be defined. So, for instance, if you have a type event from event, so you need to have this. So this is the overarching event type. So I see there is one. Can you please explain some important traits and its usage? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So almost okay. So if you go to crates.io, okay, this is where you will find all the important crates that are predefined. Okay, you can use them. In fact, Substrate actually makes heavy use of these. Okay, so you can actually see all the traits. But when it comes to say your question says what are the important traits, right? So the trait, the crates, okay, really depend upon the usage or the use case that you might have. Okay, so you'll be using different crates. Okay, what are like some specific substrate based? Okay, so if you go to this okay, so let me just so you have this registry for the substrate itself. Okay. Oh, I think not in, oh, it has not been updated. Not been updated. I didn't realize that. Okay, so we can go to the GitHub page for this, create substrate, and these are all the crates. Let me just put this up in the chat window so that you can visualize that. So Vijay, I hope that answers your question. Vijay? So these are all the crates there. Okay, from this substrate itself. So the parity team has actually developed all these crates, and you can look into any of these. Let's say, for example, palette mix. Let's click on this. We'll get that crate, which we just saw there. Right? And dispatchable functions are set name, clear name, and fill name. That takes a lot of time. Anyway. This last part takes almost a half an hour. So don't worry about it. So it will all be ready for you guys to look into it. Okay. So you can look into the source code. Now, config trait in the next palette declares the following types, right? So what are the types? Event, currency, okay, reservation fee, slash, and you'll get the information about the palette from here. From the palette, and get all the details. Okay. And you can also see the now let's so to review the config trait, say for instance, so the config trait in the next palette declares the following type, right? So you can just copy and paste it in case if you want to. After you identify the types your palette requires, you need to add code to the runtime to implement the config trait. So to see how to implement the config trait for the palette, let's use the balances palette as an example. So what they've done is they have taken up this balances palette, and you can see this is how it's been implemented. Config for runtime, and then max logs, max results, and so on. Okay. So you need to implement the configuration for the next palette. So you go to the runtime and lib.rs. Go in here and the runtime lib.rs. Okay. All the code that you are seeing here is for the existing palettes like palette grandpa, okay, frame support, and so on. So we go all the way down. So locate the last line of the balances code block, and then you add this. Okay. So implement the configuration. Now that we have seen the example, so we can see this. We are ready to implement the config trait for the list. So implement the next palette, go to the lib.rs, locate the last line of the balances code, and we add this. So copy this code, okay, and okay, not exactly. I mean, I wanted to learn about some specific one that we use in say this big palette project, why we use them, etc., like frame palette prelude and so on. Okay, right. So and that as well. So if you see here, for instance, let me just for instance, let's say if you take palette contract, okay, which allows you to build smart contracts. Okay, so this extends the accounts based on the currency trade to have smart contract functionality. Right? So which means that these trades have to be imported and they have to be implemented for this particular contract palette. Okay. Now let me just refer to your question once again. Okay. 5 years. Okay. Frame prelude. Okay. So let me just show you. So, if you see the frame system, okay, you need to look into the frame system. The system palette which provides low-level access to core types and cross-cutting utilities. Okay, the prelude is part of it. Okay, but that is not to be touched upon, because what they've done is they started with the frame system, and then they found that in the if you look at substrate frame itself, let me just show you what this substrate frame is all about. Okay. The frame palette. Okay. It's actually a development environment that provides modules called palettes and support libraries that you can use, modify, and extend to build runtime logic to suit your needs. This is what frame is all about. Okay. So if you see, you have frame executive, okay, which orchestrates incoming function calls, and it will send them to the appropriate palette in the runtime. You have the frame support. This provides macros, types, traits, and modules that will generate the boilerplate code for the palette structure, followed by the frame system, which has got low-level type definitions for the primitives like storage items and so on and so forth. Okay. So if you want to read more about this frame, because whenever you do palette development, you have to use the frame support. So basically, it says frame is framework for aggregated module extensions or something like that. Okay, it's actually it's the full form of that. The full form of frame is that. Okay. So when you're trying to build palette to customize your own blockchain, you have to use the frame support. Okay. So through that only you get all the functionality that the palettes actually need. Essentially what happens is there are a lot of module declaration macros and the type definition macros, the event definition macros, which will essentially build upon the code that you have actually written for the types themselves. Okay, that's how this whole thing works. Okay, so there's a lot of metaprogramming going on behind the scenes, right, through the macros. Okay, so I hope that answers the question, Vijay. Or you have any other doubt? So what we do is we go to the end of the file and then we add the implementation for the palette next. So here we add this definition. So see what, okay, it's a palette next config for runtime. So there's a config thread that's being implemented, okay, with type definition, some balances, reservation fee, and so on. Okay. Once this is done, okay, you have to add the construct runtime macro. So basically, construct runtime will allow you to add all the runtime features in there. Okay, so add this. So the macro definition. There's a macro. It will do all the background stuff in there for you. Okay. Now, once this is done, again you do node check, node template runtime, and if you're good to go, you can just build the renewal there. Okay. So this has already done that. Okay. So come back up here. So we need to check it again. That. I tested the wrong thing. As you can see, it is doing a incremental build. Okay, so let me. Let me just check it out. Uh, okay, just hold on a moment. I think this was working fine with the older version. I think probably the version conflict is there. I need to check it out. Okay, I'll fix this issue. I think there are some tactical semantic issues in there, which I need to check. But with the older version, I've tested it out, works just fine. Okay, so I'll have this ready for tomorrow, and then we will check this out. Okay, so I think there are some minor problems in there which I need to fix this up. I'll just go to the document and fix it up, and tomorrow I'll have it up and ready for you guys. Okay, so once that is done, in the UI you will be able to see the next palette as well. So that's what I will demonstrate, and also show you prepared code which will allow you to build your own custom palette, okay, and customize the blockchain. Right. Okay, so Praveen, anything you want to add, please?
No, so I think this is good for now. So tomorrow we are anyway meeting at 5:30, right?
Yeah. So I'll have all this code ready and compiled so that I can directly demonstrate and then explain the code there. Okay.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Easy for them because the compilation itself takes about 40-45 minutes.
Yeah, no, we could do it before. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll keep that ready.
Only thing, guys, I think one thing that I'll suggest that whatever Silvaraj has explained, try to play around with that. I mean, that will definitely give you confidence. And this video will also be uploaded to the playlist of IBC Media YouTube channel. So if somebody is not able to follow along, maybe you can go and look at it later, and you could spend some time. And if you have any questions, then maybe you can come up with those questions tomorrow so that it really helps you understand better. So I think try to make maximum, use of what you are seeing here. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's pretty much
that everybody have the development setup ready so that it's easy for you to follow along.
correct. So that's another good thing. Yeah. So if you can create your development environment, if you have got Linux, then of course you can directly use that. If you have got Windows, then like we were seeing in some other video, you could go for WSL. You can install WSL and then install Rust and then install Substrate, and be ready with these things so that when tomorrow Selvaraj is showing these things, then you could try to do things along with that. That will always help, right, Selva?
Yeah, true.
Great.
All right.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'll meet you tomorrow.
All right. Thank you so much, Selva, for the insightful session. The link for tomorrow's workshop has also been put in the chat box. Make sure you have that saved, and the other important links, you can check out the hackathon on the website on ibc.media. And yes, we will regather tomorrow at 5:30 p.m.
Sure.
So Dhruv, so how else are we sharing because some people may not be there towards the end. So how are we planning to send the link for tomorrow's session with them?
I have the link created, and I have sent it to the right people to be shared. I think we will post it on different places for sure. And when this video
also
goes live on YouTube, we can put the link in the description too. So
yeah, and also share it in the Discord as well.
All right. Yes, definitely. I think a lot of us are on Discord now after Deepak has shown us. So that would be, you can find the link on Discord too.
Great. Thank you so much.
Guys, you can see that that there can be teething problems just like we saw right now of the integration of the palette. So you can see, so these are the kind of things that even you will face, and I'll be there for any kind of assistance that you might need. Okay. So see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah. Thank you, Silva.
Sure. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you for joining, everyone.